You can be great at scheduling, tracking KPIs, and writing flawless project plans. But the moment you're expected to lead people, everything changes. Welcome to the Project Management Masterclass, the show where project leaders are made. This platform exists for one reason. Tools don't deliver projects, people do. That's why the Power Skills Academy was created, to help project professionals master the skills that actually move the needle. Emotional intelligence, communication, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking. The skills that elevate your influence and make people want to follow your lead. If you ever thought, what am I missing? This is your answer. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. Now, here's your host, Brittany Wilkins.
Thank you for tuning into Project Management Masterclass. I'm your host, Brittany Wilkins. I would like to open today's show with a question for those of you listening. What do you find most challenging about project management? I want to hear from you. Click the link in the show notes and send me a text via fan mail. For me, when I started out on my project management journey, it was understanding how and why projects are selected. In today's show, I will be discussing economic measures for project selection. In many cases, a project manager is not involved in the project selection process. However, it's important for a project manager to know a project's history. For one, the project teams you lead with key contributors will look to you to explain the context of what is the deliverable we're trying to achieve. Many team members are not 100% dedicated to the project. You are borrowing their time. It's important to explain the why and what's in it for them. Second, knowing the project history is important for understanding how the project is aligned to strategic objectives. For example, as a project manager, you need to know if your project was selected to establish a new area of business. Was it implemented to meet regulatory requirements or compliance requirements? Was it chosen to provide a solution to a problem that does not currently exist within the organization? But going beyond a broad perspective, one can learn and analyze projects based upon these 6 economic measures. The first economic measure is ROI, which stands for return on investment. ROI determines the potential profitability of an investment by calculating the benefits received in relation to the costs. The second economic measure is present value. Present value means the value of today of future cash flows, and it is calculated using a formula. The third economic measure is net present value, which is the present value of total benefits, income or revenue, minus the costs over many time periods. The fourth economic measure is IRR, which stands for internal rates of return. This one was difficult for me to grasp, as the organization I was part of starting my career rarely used this measure for project selection. But by definition, it's defined as the rate at which the project inflows revenue and project outflows cash are equal. When I was studying for the CAPM, I come to understand why it's not really a consideration, because it is very complex to calculate either way, but it's still good to know. The fifth economic measure is payback period. It is defined as the length of time it takes for the organization to recover its investment in a project before it starts accumulating a profit. The bulk of my experience in analyzing projects came via the payback period, where I was aiming for a payback of 2 years or less. But when payback was not favorable, the next step of the evaluation was the 6th economic measure, a cost-benefit analysis, comparing the expected cost of a project to the potential benefits it could bring to the organization or its stakeholders. There was one time I was assigned a project that utilized no type of criteria or measures, and it got handed off to me. It was a passion project of our vice president of engineering at the time. My boss called me into his office and said, "I want you to develop a process that inspects a wire harness utilizing a camera." That idea didn't seem too far-fetched, as I had done research for a food manufacturer performing studies on the production of investigating how vision systems can successfully inspect spaghetti sauce jars. But as they say, the devil is in the details. As I worked to define the steps to execute establishing the business case was not favorable based upon the criteria, as well as there was really no benefits. Wire harnesses were already being built and inspected by low-cost labor in our manufacturing facilities. As a team, we had the overall goal of looking at our existing wire harness production facilities and finding ways to automate the process to get product out the door faster. But this project was not a good candidate for automation. This was not a point-to-point wire harness. Depending on its location in the vehicle, the wire harness had to get routed and positioned to a certain location. The wire harness had certain components that was a bit complex for a camera to inspect due to geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. So I laid out the business case, taking into consideration a couple of these economic measures as justification in addition to the risks. But my people leader could not muster the courage to tell our VP of engineering no. What I learned is that you can have a standard process for project selection and evaluation, but there will be cases projects are not worked on based on logic, facts, or numbers, but politics. It can be very frustrating to work on a project that does not make sense. Despite 6 months of efforts, I learned a lot how to develop a business case, create a statement of work, research and talk to vendors. I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. And just when I thought we were going to pull the trigger, when it came time to invest the money, I was informed it was a no-go. And let's pivot in a different direction, my people leader said. Myself and other engineers who supported me have been saying we should pivot in a different direction for the past 6 months. Thinking back on it today, all I could do is laugh. Wrapping up today's show, although there are industry guidelines, best practices, economic measures for project selection, it varies by the nature of business how projects are selected. Nevertheless, a project manager must not always know the why projects are selected. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to share your biggest project management challenge.
Thanks for listening to the Project Management Masterclass. If you're ready to lead at a higher level, explore the Power Skills Academy and start mastering the skills that drive real project success. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. See you in the next episode.